Hey, friends. You have to actually care about the people that you're trying to lead or help or work with, right? You fill in the blank there. But that's going to be our encouragement, devotional rant for today. Um, we've been talking about John chapter 2, verses 13 to 25. You should read the whole thing. But where Jesus clears the temple. And right after he, chases the animals off and he flips the money changers temple, the Jewish leaders come to him, rightfully so, the people that are trying to get control of the situation, and they say this to him. This is verse 18. The Jews then responded to him, "What sign can you show us to prove your authority to do all this?" So Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and I'll raise it again in 3 days." See, they came to confront Jesus, not so much, I think, not so much out of concern for what happened, but because they were worried all of a sudden there's this man that's trying to one up them. They had seen this happening year after year after year after year, right? And they had just allowed it to happen. And all of a sudden, someone's going, "No, we're not doing this here." See, what they didn't understand was that Jesus actually cared about this people. And I think maybe in some kind of manipulative way, maybe they did too, but they cared about these people in the sense that they got authority or they got some kind of power or they got some kind of prestige, right, from being the holy people around everybody else. And Jesus came to show them like that's not what God's leaders were ever supposed to be, right? There's it's the old cliche for us. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? They have to know that you actually care about them if you want to be able to point them towards Jesus or if you want to help them. Otherwise, they do just feel stepped on, just like you do. See, the irony that was here was that while the Jewish leaders were trying to force the people by implementing laws and to get the people to follow them as they were following God, right? The people just started following Jesus because he cared about them, because he taught them, he treated them like a human being. He worked with them, he healed them, he touched people that nobody else would touch, right? Like the people with leprosy. I don't mean that to sound weird, but he fed people. He like we talked about with the wedding, right? He created wine for them. He met their physical needs. He actually cared about them, and so the people loved him to where when the Pharisees would show up, people would give them honor because of their position. But just like you and me, right? You've probably had a boss before that you knew he didn't care about you, so you did what he wanted when he was around. But as soon as he left, this wasn't the case with Jesus. Jesus knew that if he wanted to create lasting change and a better future for these people, he couldn't just tell them what to do. He had to actually win their hearts. And one by one, they began to follow him and they began to change. And then the disciples began to change. And then they went out and they lived courageous lives for Jesus. Not because he told them what to do, but because he won their hearts. See, people just don't do what they're told to. They don't want to just be like instructed or legislated, right? You have to actually care about them. And when you do, you have something better than authority. You have influence. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk later. Bye bye.